It is Liberty Whispers with a new video. Sorry for the kind of delay and slash lag of videos lately. It's just the times are kind of crazy at the minute. A lot going on, and my structure for days has just been messed up and whatnot. So I haven't really had much chance to do anything than work and then kind of flop out on the couch and then sleep. And that's essentially been life in general for the last so long. But when things clear up again, you know, I'll hopefully be putting out more stuff. But yeah, other than that, I can only offer apologies in that field, I guess. So this video is one that I've kind of teased on my Facebook page, which if you are not friends with me on Facebook but you want to be, you can do so. The link is on my main channel, so feel free to add me and come chat and it'll be cool. But yeah, this video is one that I kind of teased a little earlier. I wanted to do a monthly roundup of music because, for those who don't know, I do a music blog slash website of my own, but I also contribute stuff to other websites. I'm like the head of reviewing another website, so I get through a lot of music, essentially. And I mean, long-term listeners of the channel will know this, but if you're kind of just discovering me or you've just started to listen to me for whatever reason, then yeah, music plays a sort of huge part of my day-to-day existence. So I go through a lot of music, and this year for the first time, and I don't know why because it makes total sense, but I'm actually making like a list of everything I've listened to and scores I've given that way when it comes to December, and it comes to sorting out for favourite albums of the year. It'll be a lot easier, and it's also easier to just kind of keep track of what I've listened to and what have you. But anyway, so this video is essentially my favourite albums of February, and because I didn't do one for January, I'm going to do January's in there as well, but usually it's just going to be for each respective month. But we're going to do it a combination of 2 months, the sort of best of 2013 so far in all of its 2 months. I will put in the show notes, oh god, I mean in the description box below, sorry I had my podcasting head on for a second, and in the description box below I'll put album titles and artists and anyone that I've mentioned. I'll stick in the description box below, so if you've forgotten or you've missed a name or what have you, it's all there for you anyway. Or if you want to be cheeky and have a little sneak peek at what I'm going to talk about and see if you recognise anything, then you can do that now, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to press on. So the first record that I'm going to recommend, I guess these are recommendations. These are all, it's just basically, it's all just personal opinion. There's a lot of stuff here you might like, a lot of stuff you might not like. You know, everybody has different tastes, and that's brilliant. You know, I love the fact that some people will like what I'm talking about, some people will really dislike it, some people will find it okay. You know, everyone's got an opinion, and I like that, because if we all like the same thing, the world would be pretty boring. So it's good to have different tastes and opinions. So, you know, you might not like anything that I'm talking about, you might love everything. It could be a complete mixed bag, I don't know. But it varies, you know, my taste is somewhat eclectic, and the recommendations and the range of stuff that I'll do each month will probably be pretty representative of my wide and, to be honest, weird taste in music. So the first record is the third album from Chaz Bundwick, aka Toro et Moi, who is a beatmaker slash producer, God, I can't even say that word, producer slash musician, who started off kind of riding the crest of the chill wave movement like back in 2009, and went on to kind of go with that style for a bit, and then switched up to very sort of 70s roller disco pop music with his sophomore album, Underneath the Pine, which was amazing. And should definitely go listen to. You should go listen to Toro and Why in general, but Underneath the Pine was pretty dang brilliant. But this is his third album. It's called Anything in Return, and it's very much a pop kind of album. But it's more a continuation of some of the ideas. It's less stylized in that aesthetic of sort of 70s roller disco stuff, and it's more dance orientated, not like EDM, which is just a puzzling thing because electronic dance music's been around for years in different forms. It's just weird now it's got a label. Anyway, side topic / rant over. So Anything in Return, it's very much sort of dance music, house orientated very much, so there's a real sense of the roots of house music can be heard in Anything in Return, and he does a lot of sampling which he's never done before, so it's good because he's kind of expanding his sound and his palette, and it sounds different, yet in the same vein. It's weird to describe it essentially, because it is poppy like his previous record, but in a different form. It's interesting to see how he's evolving and using different things, and it works. A lot of people kind of have not so much written this album off, but kind of have gone, yeah, it's okay. Whereas I really like it. I think he just continues to grow. I still prefer Underneath the Pine, but Anything in Return, pretty damn awesome. The second record is the first of two from two very talented young ladies. I must say, ladies, 2013, you are kicking ass. Just in general, but in music, you were just sort of kicking ass. Really impressed with this young lady in particular. She's called Mackenzie Scott, but she records under the name Torres. And the album I'm talking about is her self-titled debut. And what's wonderful about it is she's only like 22, 23, I think, but her songwriting is really kind of mature for her age. In that sense, it reminds me a little bit of Laura Marling, because she writes with a wisdom that no 22, 23-year-old should have. And it's done with like a real sort of poetic flair, and it's wonderful because there's a real sense of solemn and heartbreak, and there's melancholy in there, but it's kind of, you know, juxtaposed with this real sort of sense of hopeful optimism and unknowing and kind of being excited at that age. It's a really kind of wonderful balance between the two, like tonally. But I mean, it's mainly her and her guitar for the most part, like electric guitar though. It's not like finger picking acoustic stuff. It's not like folksy, although there is a little bit of that in there. It's kind of more sort of along the lines of sort of alt female singer-songwriters from like the mid-90s, but with less of a pop edge and kind of more of a blunt, honest and earnest approach to songwriting. She's really, really good, and yeah, I that was like definitely one of the best records I've heard this year so far. The third one is from a band which I never really paid any attention to be honest. In the beginning, it was a name that I'd heard, and that's the thing, you can only kind of listen and cover so much music, and certain bands and acts and whatnot slip by, and it's just inevitable, you know. There's only so much time you can dedicate to listening to stuff and really kind of getting into stuff. But this second record I gave a listen to without really kind of knowing, well, I kind of knew what to expect because I knew of the band and I had heard their debut album, but it didn't really kind of make any sort of striking resonance for me. It just sort of went by. And that's not a slur or a slight on their first album, you know. I mean, it's probably solid from what I remember. I just don't really remember that much about it. That's kind of what I'm getting at. But this record, to me, seems like a real step up. It's from a band called Local Natives, who are a sort of New York indie band. And there seems to be a lot more heart and a lot more feeling in the songwriting and in the music as well. There's a lot more sort of melodic aspects to it, more changes, sort of interconnecting sections. It seems more like a progression musically and sort of lyrically as well. And there's one sort of line that kind of really sticks out for me. I can't remember what song it's off, but it's something so simple and yet it kind of resonates really deeply, and it's just with the lead singer asking, am I giving enough? And it's such a simple phrase, but yet, you know, it kind of, I don't know, for some reason it just kind of latched on to me and kind of stuck with me. But yeah, no, I'm really liking that. The album's called Hummingbird. I don't think I mentioned that, but it's Hummingbird by Local Natives. Definitely a step up, definitely a progression, and it's definitely a record which has got them noticed with me, at least. So if you like kind of melodic indie rock with a bit of heart to it, then you should definitely check that out. The fourth record is one that just literally came to my house on vinyl the other day. I got a mystery package. Well, I wasn't in for it, but I got, I don't know if you guys get it in the US or elsewhere, but in the UK, if a package is too big for your letterbox or whatever, you get little red cards saying your package has arrived, you want in, we've left it at such and such, come collect it. And I don't remember ordering anything, but it turned out to be the new My Bloody Valentine album, MBV, the first album from them in over 20 years. A lot of people have waited so long for the... I can't say I've waited that long. I've waited a couple of years, tops. I was a little bit late to the party for My Bloody Valentine, but kind of made up for the time lost. So I was excited for when this came out, and for a long time it seemed as if it wasn't going to come out, because it was years and years ago that the band first kind of announced they were back together and working on some new stuff, and it got delayed, and it just kind of seemed like it was never going to happen, like it was just kind of like an urban myth, or you know, a hopeful expectation that was never going to come to fruition. But you know, it did, and it's pretty damn amazing. If you're familiar with My Bloody Valentine, it's kind of an extension of their last album, but yet it kind of bleeds into sort of more new experimental stuff as well towards the back end, some stranger ideas and whatnot. If you're not familiar with them, they are a quintessential shoegaze band, who really kind of, alongside people like Slow Dive and others, kind of really set the bar for that kind of really layered, noisy, textured, sort of ambient guitar music. I mean, it is really dense with some of the guitar and the drum sounds on it, but there's a whole lot of sort of beautiful ambience and really, really sweet melodies kind of weaved out of that. It's an album, it's a band, and it's a whole style, and it's a musical movement, essentially, that will divide people. You'll either hear it and go, oh my god, that's just like a wall of noise with bits coming through, or you'll kind of be able to take on board the sort of dissonance of it and really kind of dig beneath the layers, because it really is a wonderfully layered record. It's so well textured, and it's just beautiful. You know, it's beautiful, and it's noisy, and it's messy, and it's just artistic, and it's, you know, graceful, and just so many of these colliding and sort of contrasting ideas meshed together, and it just works really wonderful. And definitely, I think it's going to be one of my favourite records come the end of the year. I mean, and it's early to say that, but you know, it's definitely at the very top of this list almost. It is in contention with the next record for that sort of top spot at the minute, but yeah, it's damn good. Damn good. The record it is in contention with is one that I kind of found by accident, but as it is so often the case, some of those records and artists that you find by accident turn out to be just amazing, and this young lady is amazing. She's called Ali Shalto. She records under the name Lady Lamb, the Beekeeper. She is from Portland, I think, and she's kind of been an independent singer-songwriter for a number of years now, doing home recordings and handing them out, and doing it kind of homegrown style, you know, from the ground up. And this is my first sort of interaction with any of her music, and it's only like in the last couple of days that I've literally heard her for the first time and just rapidly fell in love with the way she works and the music that she produces. I mean, if you were to put like a category or a label on her, it would be singer-songwriter, but you know, very much like Torres, who I was talking about before, she has this wonderful kind of juxtaposition of real kind of melancholy and genuinely deep and introspective emotional storytelling within her lyrics. You know, there's very telling traits within her songwriting and her lyrical style, but yet there's also humour in there. There's also like rowdy sort of aggression. There's like a real sense of poetic wordplay. She's really good at painting pictures in your mind. There's a track on the album. The album's called Ripely Pine, by the way. I keep forgetting to say the names of the albums, but as I said, they're all in the description box. But the track Bird Balloons is just one of the best songs I've heard in such a long time. It just changes up, you know, the dynamics of it. It goes from hard and harsh to just really soft and sweet and gentle, and it spaces out, and it kind of just takes so many different twists and turns, but it doesn't feel disjointed. It just feels like this wonderfully constant growing sort of mutation of depth, and again that's really layered, and it's hard to explain because I'm still kind of digesting it, because the music's relatively quite literally new to me within the last couple of days, but yeah, I'm really liking it. She's got a strange mix of kind of Riot Girl meets folksy thing going on, all sorts of stuff, but you know, it works so well. So many wonderful moving parts, and it's so varied and eclectic. And the last record in my January-February rundown is literally new to the nth degree. I literally have only just been listening to it today, but I love it. I kind of feel... sorry about that, I had to stop because there was a helicopter or an aeroplane or something going over my roof, and it was incredibly rude and noisy. I mean, don't they know I'm recording? How dare they? Anyway, so this last record that I'm going to recommend is a mixtape, a debut mixtape called The Eulogy by Killa, and it's the only hip-hop release on my list for January and February so far. I mean, there's been some pretty decent stuff. There's been a double EP combo thing from Milo, new EP from Kitty, aka Kitty Pride, called Daisy Raid, which is pretty good. Pro Era mixtape was pretty good. ASAP Rocky debut was contrary to popular belief, well, for me, pretty mediocre. A lot of people love that record, and I've kind of really been praising it and adding to his hype, but to me it's kind of hit and miss. But the one sort of hip-hop project that really kind of struck a chord with me is one that I've literally only just listened to today, yet it's made the list, and the reason being is because it's just really kind of refreshing, and it just hits hard. It's from a MC which I mentioned called Cakes the Killer, who is a openly gay rapper, which is something you wouldn't have expected a couple of years ago. And as a sort of huge fan of hip-hop, someone who's kind of really sort of fell in love with the artistry and the poetry behind the genre and the art form, you know, it's kind of become very disappointing and disheartening to see how run down it's become, and just, you know, how openly homophobic certain aspects of it are, and you know, it's kind of, there's a real sense of shame to that, and it's gone on far too long, you know, and so it's really kind of refreshing to see that there is more artists kind of opening the minds and the barriers of it, you know, people like Mickey Blanco, of course. Frank Ocean came out as being bisexual last year, which helped sort of kind of open up the idea, the dialogue, I guess, about homosexuality in hip-hop, but Cakes the Killer is an openly gay MC, and he raps in the kind of hedonistic way that a lot of other sort of heterosexual rappers do, and it irks a lot of people I've seen, you know, with kind of doing research about him, and whilst listening to the record, it's just angered a lot of people that he's so openly free about his exploits in his lyrics. But you know what, I think it's fantastic, and I think it's about time that the genre kind of did open its doors more to various lifestyles and whatnot. You know, I think it generally is really refreshing. But not only that, his flow is really fierce. The guy goes really hard over beats, and the beats are fantastic as well. It's kind of like this weird mix of sort of like Baltimore / Miami club music mixed with kind of this sort of new breed of hip hop, spice of electronica, and just a little bit of old school stuff mixed in there as well. It's like a weird amalgamation of things, but it works. And the beats are just really just on point and just hard and sharp and just really jarring in the best possible way. And then you have Cakes coming in with this just incredible flow, and he's incredibly witty and he's self-aware. You know, he really is kind of self-aware about how his style and his content's gonna go over, and he has fun with it, you know what I mean? But at the same time, dude means business, and he just really kind of struck a huge chord with me, and I was like, I like this guy, I like what he's doing. I think it's just really sharp work, and you know, it shows that finally, after such a stagnated sort of time period, or even stagnant time period, I don't know what I said then, but after a really sort of stagnant time period, it feels like boundaries are being opened up, and you know, there's opportunities for various insights. I mean, I know it's not going to be to everyone's cup of tea, and I don't know how far he'll go on that alone, but for an opening gambit, good God, it's damn impressive, I'll be honest. But again, you know, it's not going to be for everybody. Like, you know, in general, like a lot of hip hop isn't for everybody. But you know, it kind of caught me off guard, caught me by surprise in the best possible way, and I was like, wow, it's getting stuck on the list. Completely different to everything else, but I guess that's just how it goes. So there you go. You've got miserable shoegazing with heavy guitars, gay rapping. Angry ladies, and weird pop music. So there you go. That was January and February, and I'm really kind of looking forward to March. There's a lot of good stuff. First and foremost, new David Bowie album. Oh my goodness, that's gonna be interesting. I'm not getting my hopes up too high, but you know, I do have my fingers crossed. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to put the names of those acts in the description box if you want to go check them out. If they sound something you might be interested in checking out, do so and let me know what you think. And of course, if you have any recommendations for me, I would more than love to hear them, you know. So yeah, if you have something that you've been really liking this month or in January, please share. Let's share our recommendations and expand our music catalogue together, because that's what friends do.